This is Chatter Sketch. I'm Sarah Mansinga, here to tell you a story and draw you a picture. Currently, by Sarah Mansinga. Part 1, Sand. Chapter 1. Ma'am is dead. I'm glad I didn't see the web jaguar bite her neck, or the salt pool men put spears through the animal while trying to save her. And I'm very glad I didn't hear her use what was left of her life to beg those men to take care of me. But if I'd been helping her crack open water pods instead of catching squid crawlers with Gren, maybe I could have done something. Maybe I could have screamed or thrown a rock to scare the jaguar away. And if nothing else, I would have comforted her. That's the worst part. Ma'am spent those last moments thinking she'd failed me. I wish she'd spent them in my arms, with me singing her a night song. I would have even lied to her and told her that Gren had found a way to keep me safe. And it wouldn't have been a sinking rock lie. It would have just been a floating seed pod lie, because now the ocean has arrived, and here's Gren, trying to make sure I don't drown or freeze or starve. We're standing together at the Varasay gates, where the mountain city is where Deeplanders shelter while the ocean passes by. Plenty of other villagers are here too, gathered in a disorganized, muddy line, with their belongings piled on wagons. The teeterwood rises up on either side of us, and it's as if those dry bark trees have lined up to enter the city too. The cold rain keeps spattering down as well. It's already soaked through my wild wool jacket and fern flax dress, and it makes my skin feel like something rotten I've slipped into. Sometimes when the tide arrives, it brings storms with it, angry, temper tantrum storms. But even though I'm shivering and feeling prickly, I like the weather today. I'm just as upset as those swollen, twisting clouds, and because I can't let my worries out in a mess of tears, I like that the sky is howling and fretting on my behalf. Gren holds my hand tight, as if my fingers are fish trying to slither free. She's a salt pool elder, or I suppose she is the salt pool elder, if one villager were to matter more than the others. And because the city priests often do what she says, and a few even bring her nice things like salt sugar bars and rare spices from the trade routes, she thinks she can convince them to let me into the city. My name isn't in their record books, which is the main problem. But I'm not a criminal like my ma'am. I just grew inside her, that's all. This won't work. They look mean, I tell Gren, watching the gray straps register other villagers and assign them barracks units. My friend Sand says the Varasay guards are named after the belt they wear. Today, though, those gray belts hide beneath black, oiled canvas coats that make the guards look like puddle beetles, the nasty kind that sting you. A few of them carry the thick record books that list all the births and deaths in the Deepland villages, and fathoms do I wish my name was written in those pages. Oh, come now, stop trying to squirm away. Gren tugs me forward. I always say you can't drink from a water pod you haven't broken open. Gren likes giving advice like that, mixing her thoughts up with old sayings, and although I do stop wiggling backwards, I still can't bear to keep watching the gray straps as they move closer and closer toward us, working their way along the line of villagers. Instead, I twist around to look at the ocean. There aren't any trees growing directly below us, so I have a clear view of the tide spreading out impossibly far, covering everything I know with shimmery blue. You'd think so much water would scare me more, but the wandering ocean is a familiar threat. I know that it will always come in the winter and then leave in the spring. What might happen now at the gates is much more unpredictable. Not far behind me in line, Sand stands with his parents, and when I look at my friend, he gives me a crooked smile and shouts, "Hey, don't worry, Neri. If those uppies won't let you into the city, I won't go in neither." His parents would never allow him to face the rising water, of course, but I like Sand because he says things like that. "What's your name?" I hear a gray strap ask Gren. "And what's the name of your village?" I turn around and find that a guard has reached us, record book in hand. "Well, I'm Gren Tia Favis," Gren says in a voice that only trembles a little. "And I live in Saltpool with many of these folk." She nods to the people around us. "It's the village on the current way side of Coral Lake." Yeah, I know where Salt Pool is. The gray strap looks through his book, hunching over it, surely trying to keep it dry. After turning a few pages, he makes a mark with a charcoal and kelpwood pencil. And the girl? Yes, so this sweet child. Gren pulls me against her colorful, very patched sea cotton robes, and I like that they smell like a cook fire. Her mother was banished from the city while pregnant, poor thing. I don't know what her crime was. But my heart just went out to her. Anyway, the poor dear died 2 sun edges ago, so I took in her child. Gren hesitates and squeezes me closer. Please just list her with our village. I promise you she is a good girl and quiet as a diver rabbit. No one will ever notice her. She is helpful and hardworking too. She can already bundle dried herbs so much better than I can, and I promise I'll see to all her needs. The guard crouches down, pulling back his canvas hood to see me better. His face is kinder looking than I expected, all wrapped up in a soft, frizzy beard. I've seen you and your ma'am from the wall. All of us gray straps have. I've always been worried for you, hoping you'll survive the tide. I'm sorry your ma'am is dead. I am sorry too, I say, feeling a warm flicker of hope. Sand says all uppies have hearts of ice, but maybe this man is different. My ma'am was different. So, it sure sounds like you might be able to help us. Gren sways, surely looking around for other gray straps who might be listening in. The guard sighs. I wish I could, but you know the 3-god priests and their rules. Anyone caught sneaking her into the city would be banished for at least a tide, and the girl would never be allowed in at all, no matter what happened. My flicker of hope fizzles out, but Gren tightens her thickly knuckled fingers on my shoulder. Wait, what do you mean by no matter what happened? Is there a way for her to enter the city? A proper way? The guard stands back up, tucking the record book into his coat. If she ever marries a Deeplander, she can be registered. Sometimes folk bring in drifter brides. But Nerene is only 8 tides old, Gren says. She's far too young to marry, and there's no time to wait. Her mother kept her safe, so she'll be easy pickings for landrunners if she's alone, and who knows what the criminal bands will do to her. And there's also the cold. The Greystrap's mention of marriage, though, reminds me of a patchy, not quite thought through plan I had a few days ago. I'm not used to talking to strange adults, and certainly not uplanders, so I turn to Gren. Remember when the Narrows adopted that baby from Purok? There was a ceremony, and the priest sent a letter to the city to change the record books. What if you did that? What if you adopted me, all official, with papers and everything? It seems like a good plan to me, but Gren makes a despairing sound, and the Greystrap frowns as he wipes rain off his beard. I suppose you've had your 2 children. He looks questioningly at Gren. She nods sadly. Daughters, a good 20 tides ago. His shoulders drop. Yeah, that won't work then. Even if the priests agree to adoption, they'll want it to be someone who hasn't had their 2. But maybe another family might be willing. He trails off at the slapping sound of quick, wet footsteps, and I don't have to look to know Sand's coming toward us. I recognize his happy, skipping run. We'll do it, he tells the guard. My family, the O'Lyns, will adopt Nerene. My ma'am can't have another baby anyway. He leans forward as if sharing a secret, but then keeps talking just as loudly. She's been praying and praying to the water goddess. She says 3-god don't listen, so she may as well try someone who will, even if it's... Sand, shh, quiet, Gren says in her firmest voice. And even I know you can't talk about the water goddess so high up the mountain. Deeplanders aren't supposed to worship her anymore. Sand's hands curl into fists. All I'm saying is they'll adopt her. I'm sure of it. You just wait here and I'll go tell them what they're going to do. He splashes off, and soon returns with his parents, Big Trenet, who often gives me extra food, and Skinny Bessel, who always looks like she's wincing in pain. Both of them wear hooded, finely woven wild wool coats, and as they hurry over to us, Bessel is quick to say, Look, I don't know what my son has been telling you, but we can't adopt this girl. 3-god hasn't blessed me with a second child yet, but I have faith it will happen. Oh, come now, Bessel, Gren pleads. If we leave her outside the city, she'll die. That is upsetting. It is. Bessel lowers her voice to a whisper. But let's be honest. This is her mother's fault, not ours. This girl's fate is not our responsibility. Trenet, Sand's father, looks at me sadly, as if I've already been torn apart by landrunner teeth and claws. Yet, if we save the girl, everyone will think highly of us. It would also make a rousing fireside story. I don't care about stories, Bessel says, adjusting the sash around her waist with swift, sharp tugs. Besides, isn't there a family who's a better fit than ours? How about the Tavers? I hear she's barren. The Tavers are young, only just married, Gren says. You haven't had a child in 8 tides. Bessel's hard face seems to harden even more. Other women have gone longer and still given birth. Please be reasonable, Gren says in her wheedling and sugary yet still insistent way. You don't need to mother the girl. Just let the priests think what they need to think, and I'll take care of the rest. She nudges my shoulder and winks at me. And you'll take care of me in return, right, Nerene? It's strange that Sand isn't arguing with Bessel too. But looking around, I realize he's not even standing with us anymore. Where's Sand? I ask. Yet even though I've asked the question, all the adults look at me, as if I also know the answer. And after a moment, I realize I do. He's hiding, I say, turning to the sopping teeterwood trees. He said if I can't go into the city, he won't go in either. And that's the end of Chapter 1. Next episode, Sand's disappearance causes a lot of complications. Be sure to subscribe here on YouTube. You can find me on both Twitter and Instagram. And if you'd like to read ahead, the whole story is available on Amazon. Just look for Currently by Sarah Mansinga. See you next time on Chattersketch, where you can come for the art and stay for the story, or come for the story and stay for the art.